Hi, fifth grade. Welcome to part 2 of Investigation 8. So we are picking up on page 420. We're right there in the middle. So numerical data represent such quantities as ages, heights, weights, temperatures, and points scored. But data also comes in categories or classes. People, concepts, and objects belong to categories. Examples of categories include occupations, days of the week, after-school activities, foods, colors. Suppose Angela asked the students in her class to name their favorite type of soda and displayed the data in this frequency table and bar graph. So you should see she's got cola, root beer, lemon, lime, and orange, and her frequencies are 9, 5, 6, and 4. She has made a bar graph, but it looks a little different than the bar graphs we've made. The bar graph Angela made is called a horizontal bar graph because the bars run horizontally. The categories that Angela used for her data are types of soda: cola, root beer, lemon, lime, and orange. So you can see on the horizontal bar graph that you see on your paper that she's switched the X and the Y axis, okay? If you just tilted it the other way, it would look exactly like the other bar graphs that we've made. There's no difference in the way that you make them. So on page 421, 60 students were asked to give their position among children in their family. Their responses were put into the 4 categories shown in this frequency table. So we have 4 categories: only child, youngest child, oldest child, and middle child. And our frequencies are 22, 16, 14, and 8. So for number 5, we're supposed to make a horizontal bar graph for the data in the table above. Be sure to label each bar along the vertical side of the graph with one of the 4 categories. Along the bottom of the graph, use even numbers to label the number of students. Great. I know that you're going to pause the video here. You're going to make your horizontal bar graph, and then you're going to unpause it in just a second to see if you've done it right. Okay, so your horizontal bar graph should look like this. Nope, tilting the wrong way. There we go. Your horizontal bar graph should look like this. So we have our 4 categories: only, youngest, oldest, and middle, and they are here along our vertical axis. They're on the Y axis, so that they're going to make horizontal bars. They're going to go across instead of going up. And then along our x-axis down here, we have the number of students, but we've done it by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, and 22. So you can see by our horizontal bar graph that 22 children are only children, 16 are the youngest, 14 are the oldest, and 8 are the middle. This is what your bar graph should look like, your horizontal bar graph should look like. Now, as I was saying just a moment ago, if we just tipped it like that, it would look like a regular bar graph that we've done before. So, just to demonstrate that, that's not super necessary. It's getting real dark in here. Okay, there we go. So, back on page 421, a pictograph uses symbols or icons to compare data that comes from categories. We've done many pictographs over the years. You guys are really good at them. An icon can represent one data point or a group of data points. In pictographs, we include a legend to show what each icon represents. Suppose 96 children were asked to choose their food preference among hamburgers, hot dogs, and pizza. The data that was collected is displayed in this pictograph. So you see that on your page. Favorite foods, we have pizza, hamburger, hot dogs going down the vertical axis, the y-axis, right? And then it goes across And our legend tells us that each picture of pizza represents 4 children who chose pizza. Each icon, symbol, picture of a hamburger represents 4 children that chose hamburgers. And each hot dog represents 4 children who chose hot dogs. We count 8 hamburger icons in this pictograph. To find how many children 8 icons represent, we read the legend to find that we should multiply the number of icons by 4. So 8 times 4, or 32 children, prefer hamburgers. So for question number 6, how many children prefer pizza? We need to count how many icons we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We need to multiply that by 4, which means 40 children chose pizza. Now, how many children prefer hot dogs? So we just do the same thing again. We count how many hot dogs we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we have to multiply that by 4. So 24 children chose hot dogs as their favorite food. Now, number 8. Draw a second pictograph for the food preferences in which each icon represents 8 children. So if we were to do that, what we would come up with is something that looks like this. If each icon represents 8 children, we need half as many icons as in our original pictograph, because in our original pictograph, each icon represented 4 children. So here, if each pizza represents 8 kids, I only need 5 pizzas, 4 hamburgers, 3 hot dogs. This is what your pictograph should look like, although I'm sure yours is much more beautiful. You're excellent artists, all of you. So, back on page 422. Sometimes we are interested in seeing how categories break down into parts of a whole group. The best kind of graph for this is a circle graph. A circle graph is sometimes called a pie chart. So, a circle graph is when you use a circle and you divide your data like you would divide fractions. So, looking at page 422, the following circle graph shows how Greg spends a typical 24-hour day during the summer. So, Greg's day is represented by the circle, and the different activities are the wedges, the pieces of pie. Sleeping, eating, reading, playing, watching television, and sports. So, you notice on this circle graph, it doesn't give us specific amounts for the time. We're looking at them relative to each other, meaning it doesn't tell us that sleeping takes up, 5/8 of Greg's day. It doesn't tell me that. I can just see that sleeping takes up a whole lot more than eating does. So, number 9 is asking us which activity consumes most of Greg's time? Which activity consumes the least amount of Greg's time? So, the biggest pie wedge is clearly sleeping. The smallest is clearly eating. We can see that. Which activity consumes about the same amount of time as sports? If we're looking for 2 pieces of the pie, 2 wedges that look like they're about the same size, sports and reading look like they're about the same size. Greg is a very balanced person. So, which activities consume more time than sports? So we want to look for the pieces that are bigger than the piece for sports. Those would be watching television, playing, and sleeping. Those 3 sections of the circle are bigger than the section for sports. And then we're looking for activities that consume about 12 hours. So we know that this circle represents 24 hours. So activities that represent 12 hours would be activities that look like they're about half of the circle. There's a lot of different ways we can find that. Sports, watching television, and playing all together look like about half the circle. Sleeping, eating, and reading all together look like about half the circle. But there looks like another way we can cut it. Sports, sleeping, and eating look like they're about half the circle. Watching television, playing, and reading look like they're about half the circle. So there's 4 different ways that you can look at activities that add up to about half of Greg's day. And the last type of graph that we're going to talk about are Venn diagrams. In the examples we presented, the categories do not overlap. This means that each data point fits only one category. We say that such categories are mutually exclusive. But sometimes we have data points that fit into more than one category. To display such data, we can use a Venn diagram. The categories in a Venn diagram are represented by overlapping circles. Suppose Kareem surveys his 21 classmates about family pets. Kareem asks whether they have a dog at home, and he asks whether they have a cat at home. There are 4 possibilities. A family could have both kinds of pets. A family could have a dog only. A family could have a cat only. Finally, a family could have neither kind of pet. Kareem finds that 12 of his classmates have dogs and 8 have cats. Of these, 5 have both. We will make a Venn diagram to display this information. We begin by drawing 2 overlapping circles. One circle represents the families with dogs. The other circle represents the families with cats. We must make the circles overlap because some families have both cats and dogs. We are told that 5 families have both kinds of pets, so we write 5 in the overlapping region. We have accounted for 5 of the 12 families who have dogs, so there are 7 families that have dogs but no cats. We write 7 in the region of the diagram for families with dogs only. We have also accounted for 5 of the 8 families that have cats. So there are 3 more families that have cats. We write 3 in the region of the diagram for families with cats only. Now we've accounted for 7 families with dogs only, 5 families with dogs and cats, and 3 families with cats only. This is a total of 15 families. However, 21 families were part of the survey, so 6 families have neither animal. We can write 6 outside the circles to represent these families. So how many families have just one of the 2 types of animals? So we have to add the families in the regions that are separate, not the region that overlaps. And 7 plus 3 is 10. 10 families. Suppose Tito asked each of his classmates whether he or she plays soccer. Refer to this Venn diagram he created to answer problems 14 through 19. So how many boys are in Tito's class? So we have 8 boys who don't play soccer, and we have 7 boys who do. So we have 15 boys total. How many soccer players are in Tito's class? Right? We have, sorry, I read the Venn diagram incorrectly, and I'm going to run out of time. So we're going to do one last quick part on Venn diagrams. Hold on.